Tease is getting her own divine weapon and armor in the second free DLC for Sword Art Online Alicization Lycoris, whereas the first of the many Gameverse heroines will be joining the game in the fourth free DLC. We got a lot to talk about, the recent news on Licoris's upcoming plans on all the free DLCs and the first paid DLC. Now for starters, I will not be reiterating what was introduced in Reaper of Woods. I'm sure you all played and finished it already in the past 4 days. Worst case scenario, you can just check all the new stuff in the first free DLC in my Reaper of the Woods impressions video. With that out of the way, the new boss and the divine objects for Tease in the second free DLC have been teased. The Headless Horseman is one of those familiar boss concepts in other SAO games, but the finisher for Tease, I absolutely love that reference. If you thought her weapon is very similar to the Blue Rose sword, you are indeed correct. The entire thing is a reference to Yu-Gi-Oh! Synthesis 32 actually. The whole armor in blue, the Blue Rose sword like divine weapon, and the pose itself with the weapon covering half of her face, that is the exact replica of the Yu-Gi-Oh! S32 illustration from Alicization Dividing. But yeah, this preview just further solidifies that the goal of these free DLCs is mainly to collect more divine objects, which will tie into whatever the plot of paid DLC 2 is going to be. Mind you, if you realized issues with the preview footage, don't worry, the developers did too. The footage is basically still a work in progress, it's not the finished version, and features some bugs here and there, like the Dullahan appearing being extremely choppy in the video with the smoke effects and stuff. But now moving on to the content promises for the future DLCs in specifics. Each DLC is coming with that 1 to 2 hours of story promise. Before you lot throw your hands up in the air talking about how short the first DLC was because you nuked all the bosses by dual wielding 2+5 Skyrains, yeah, you'll probably finish the future ones in sub 1 hour timeline too. You're not the average player in mind when planning these DLCs. We all knew what happened in Hollow Realization DLC 2 when the devs solely designed things for crying entitled top players. Nobody but that 1% had fun in that DLC because everything was unbeatable for pretty much everybody playing the game except for that 1%. If you want challenge for yourself specifically, stop forcing that challenge on everyone. Crank the game difficulty up, it affects every single enemy you encounter in the game. Anyways, looking at the content map, the following free DLCs will be very similar in size and content. The numbers you see on the chart are cumulative numbers translated by Gishimenas, as is the rest of the news. So in the future free DLCs, we are basically getting one new map, which is probably gonna be a compact one just like the Reaper of the Woods, one new divine weapon and divine armor specific to the character in that story, the weapon of course coming with a new finisher animation. New raid boss, which is gonna be the repeatable version of the DLC boss itself, and each of the DLCs will add one new mutated beast to the rotation of the 3 beasts introduced in Reaper of the Woods. Obviously, each update will come with a level cap increase of 10 levels, at least that's what's been promised so far. It can still change, like the Reaper suddenly deciding to add 20 levels instead of the promised 10 earlier. And of course, gear enhancement cap will also be increased along. The main differences that make 3rd and 4th free DLC stand out is that the 3rd one, the Selka DLC, will be adding a new weapon type to the game. My guess is that it's probably gonna be spears since the weapon type existed back in Hollow Realization anyways, but it has not yet been officially announced what that weapon type really is. And in free DLC 4, the Shirika DLC, we will be receiving the first Gameverse original heroine along with a new quote-unquote new mode. Obviously, we do not know who will be arriving as the Gameverse original heroine, but my bet is that it's either gonna be Strea or it's gonna be Rain. Strea because she would probably be the one to make the most sense to come earlier than the rest, as she's an AI who has a player account. While the others are actual physical players, you know, there may be complications, etc. You can tie that in with the story like that. But also, it would be a nice callback to the fact that Strea is the very first game original character of the SAO Gameverse, as Philia did not even exist in Infinity Moment, the original PSP version of what later was remade into Hollow Fragment with the additional Philia story. And the Rain assumption comes from the fact that Rain was the only one they revealed so far in a proper 3D render, so it may be that they prioritized her development first because she was coming early and thus finished her first, etc. and all that kind of jazz. As for the quote-unquote new mode, no clues. The description is not exactly descriptive, to say the least. Now, the roadmap is certainly a lot more interesting and provides a lot of transparency for you to set your expectations accordingly this time around. With the Tizen Yu-Gi-Oh update, we'll get a balance patch, something we haven't received in the first free DLC update. You can see the approximate rotations of the individual mutated beasts below. Each of them are roughly 2 weeks long as far as we know at the moment. Selka update is bringing us a new weapon type, whereas the new mode mentioned for the 4th DLC, Shilika update, appears to be directed at high tier players. So if you're part of that crowd who are just melting raid bosses in 20 seconds, the challenge you have been waiting for will arrive in the Shilika update. Looking at that timeline, the gamer's original character seems to be not coming with the launch of the update, but rather appears somewhere during the update cycle, but that's just based on assumption. I'm not sure if they actually paid attention to where they put those tabs. The paid DLC, Alicization Lycoris Myosotis, aka Blooming of the Forget-Me-Not in the West, will be coming with another game balance pass, as well as a raid boss difficulty update, which the Japanese slides mention as Supreme Raid bosses, so definitely more stuff for those endgame players to enjoy. The first paid DLC currently also seems to be going with a 10 level upgrade, which is weird to me considering it has to be a more sizable update in comparison, but personally I'm more on the wait and see side of things. It is quite far away at the moment and we can suddenly get a different level cap increase like we did with the Reaper. A second game original character will be arriving there along with the actual other stuff. So it seems like we're not getting the rest of the batch in a single content drop. It seems like they're just gonna be spread around a little bit more to the future. Although that timeline looks more and more like this was actually their initial monthly rollout plan after the initial release of the base game, especially considering these free updates are promised to be monthly content now, with teaser story coming in January, Selka in February, and Shilika roughly in March as things stand right now, and each bringing one quote-unquote raid. It just really fits that initial free monthly raids promise at this point, but yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I really enjoyed the Sinon DLC story, which was basically a non-time waster but still long enough character story compared to the base game character stories that took 20 plus minutes at times with so much fluff happening in between them. Not saying those were bad character events by any means, but they always gave me the feeling of, well, this didn't need to be 25 minutes long, could have been 10 minutes, along with a short 2-minute gameplay period in between. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is I'm looking forward to the teaser story update. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more in-depth Sword Art Online coverage and news. Consider becoming a channel member to get access to a special badge and exclusive emotes to use. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook for faster news access. 50k special merch as well as others are available on my Teespring page, and a huge thanks to all my patrons and channel members as usual. Until next time, keep your head